well, be more happy if I didn't drop the book. Hey guys, it's Casera, and today we're gonna be doing my March book haul, part 2. I'm currently on a book buying ban. This was my last haul before the ban, so the last books that I'm buying before the ban. It's also the reason why I'm going on a book buying ban, and I will get to that soon. But first, I had some books from my last haul that I forgot to include in the haul. I did include them in one of my vlogs, so I'm going to insert that clip right here. I recently came out with a book haul, but I forgot to add a few books to it, so instead of just like adding it to my April book haul, I got it in March. I'm gonna go ahead and show you those books right now. So the first book is Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. This is going to be for a BookTube SFF read along. I wasn't sure if I wanted to read this book because Sanderson's last YA I really did not like, which is the Reckoner series, I think is what it's called. And I really didn't like the first book in that series, Steelheart. I ended up trying to read the second book and DNFing the second book in that series. So I was really hesitant to pick up this book, but everyone seems to really like it. It's nominated for BookTube SFF Award. So I'm going to try it. Hopefully I like it. And I'm actually pretty excited to get to this one because I've never seen his sci-fi writing. So I'm interested in seeing how he writes sci-fi. The next book that I recently picked up is The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness. I've had my eye on this book for a while, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to listen to the audiobook or read the physical book, but I think I really want to read the physical book because I've heard like the main character is illiterate, but like can read other people's minds. So like the thoughts are written in an interesting way in the physical book. I like reading things in interesting ways, so I might still borrow the audiobook and listen to it and follow along, but I want to see how it's written down in the book. So that's why I ended up picking up this one because I'm really interested in it. Patrick Ness is an author that I want to read more books by him, so I'm really excited for this one. The next one I picked up is Fly Away by Kristen Hanna. Kristen Hanna is an author that I want to read more by. Like, I want to read all of her books because I read The Nightingale and I read The Great Alone, and both of them are amazing, but my library only has like 4 books by her, and I do have some of her other books on hold at my library, but since they only have 4, I kind of like, whenever I see a Kristen Hanna book somewhere, I kind of want to pick it up. So I was at Books A Million the other day, and they had a lot of Kristen Hanna books that I'd never seen before. Apparently she has like more than 20 novels out, which is amazing, and I'm like excited about getting to all of them. But yeah, so I ended up picking up this one. I went through like and read like a couple of the backstories, and this one seemed like the most interesting. This one is set in the 70s, and it's following 2 sisters, and something happens, and one of the sisters has to take care of the other sister's kids. So it's just really intrigued me. I want to know what happens, and I think the relationship between the sisters could be really great in Kristen Hanna's hands because she just writes character relationships so well, and I'm really excited for this one. And the last one that I picked up is My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry by Fredrik Backman. I'm so excited for this one. I read Beartown and Us Against You recently, and ever since I read those 2, I've been getting so many comments asking me if I've read My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry because they think that I will really like this one. So I'm really excited to get to this one. I've heard there's like a magical realism aspect to this novel, which I love magical realism, and Fredrik Backman is slowly becoming one of my new favorite authors, so I'm so excited for this one. So in addition to those books, I ended up buying a lot more books. So the next ones I want to talk about is the rest of the Expanse series by James S.A. Corey, which includes Cibola Burn, Nemesis Games, Babylon's Ashes, and Persepolis Rising. So I'm like really into the Expanse series, so I decided to get the rest of the books that are currently out. There is actually another book that is out now. I think it's called Tiamat's Wrath, but it's only out in hardcover, so I'm waiting for the paperbacks to come out. There's a good chance that I will be finishing these before the paperback comes out, and if that happens, then I will end up buying the hardcover. But for now, I'm trying to play it safe and probably get the cheaper paperback when it comes out, and also the version of books that I prefer reading because I don't like reading hardcovers. I decided to get these because I'm really into the series. There's a good chance that I'm going to end up getting to these really soon, so I just wanted to have them on my shelf and have them waiting for me, and I'm really excited for it. I just finished Caliban's War, so I should be starting Abaddon's Gate, which is the 3rd book in this series, in which case I will be getting to Cibola Burn, which is the 4th book, so I'll definitely be getting to these soon, and I thought it was a good time to buy them, so yes, excited for it. So the next books, and the ones that kind of started on me buying more books than I really should have because I was really excited for these, are The Cruel Prince and The Wicked King by Holly Black. So I picked up the audiobook for The Cruel Prince, and about an hour into the audiobook, I was just like, I need the physical book. I need the physical book right now because I loved it so much. Like, I was enjoying this book so much that I really wanted a physical book because it was the type of book that I read better as a physical book than as an audiobook. So I went to Books A Million and bought The Cruel Prince. They didn't have The Wicked King, else I probably would have bought The Wicked King also at Books A Million. But they only had The Cruel Prince and they only had it in paperback, which I considered getting the hardcover because I knew I would get The Wicked King in hardcover because there's not currently a paperback version of The Wicked King out yet. But they only had the paperback and I didn't want to wait to order it from Amazon where I'd have to wait for the next day to get it. So I bought from Books A Million the paperback for The Cruel Prince. At the same time, I went to Amazon and bought The Wicked King in hardcover for same-day shipping for the next day so that I could finish The Cruel Prince and then I'll have The Wicked King on my way to me for the next day. So that's what ended up happening. That being said, I couldn't just only buy one book, partially because I wanted to get some good discounts on The Cruel Prince and I had a $10 gift card for Books A Million, and to use the $10 gift card and get my coupon for $5 off $25 or more, I needed to buy more books from Books A Million. So I ended up buying 5 books from Books A Million that day. It was like 5 books for $20. So it wasn't that much that I ended up spending, but at the same time, it was more books than I had planned to buy during this time. And then of course, for The Wicked King, to get free shipping for same-day shipping, I needed to spend $35 or more. I ended up spending a bit more than $35. I went on there, and then there was just a lot of books that I really wanted, and I went a little overboard with this one. I'm gonna be honest. I went a little bit overboard with my Amazon order. I am going to end up reading most of the books on my Amazon order really soon. We will get to that one soon. So these are the books that I ended up getting at Books A Million. The first one is The Poetry of Emily Dickinson. This is just a really small collection of poems by Emily Dickinson. I've been wanting to get this for a really, really long time. I don't even know if it's complete. I hope it's complete. I didn't even check that, but it was only $6. Like, it wasn't that expensive at all. It's actually less than $6 if you include all the discounts and everything. But Emily Dickinson is a poet that I actually really liked in high school. We studied a lot of poetry in school, but she's one of the few poets that I actually really ended up liking. I wanted to like revisit some of her old poems and reread more of her old poems, and I thought like she would be a good way for me to get back into poetry because I really did like her so much back then. I don't know if I would consider it a reread or not because I haven't actually read like a bind up of her poems, but I have read most of her poems already. But I'm really excited to get back into poetry, so that's why I decided to pick this one up. The next one that I picked up is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. I mentioned earlier that I really, really like this edition of classics, so I kind of looked at my classic shelves and decided like which one I was gonna get next, and it was definitely gonna be The Picture of Dorian Gray because this is the book that I'm really, really interested in reading. I also really, really like this edition because it's pink and it's very pretty. It's also pretty inexpensive as far as classics go. It's only $7 and it's a hardcover. Like, it's a nice, beautiful hardcover classic for only $7. So I was really, really excited for this. I'm probably gonna get to this one pretty soon also. Then something happened. So I found the bargain section of Books A Million after that. And in the bargain section, there are books for cheaper than what you get on Book Outlet. Like, I found Thunderhead for like $6 or something like that. Like a hardcover version of Thunderhead by Neal Shusterman for $6. And I wanted to pick it up. Problem is, I already ordered it from Book Outlet and it should be here soon. Like, I should be getting that book soon from Book Outlet, which by the way, is $9 on Book Outlet, not $6. So I was like really angry with myself because of that, because it was like a perfectly good edition of Thunderhead. There were tons and tons of books that were really low priced. Some of them did have damage to them because this is the bargain section, because they have damage on them that they're there, but I mean, it's fine, like as long as the damage is not too much. And the two that I found, I didn't actually find any damage on it. I was really, really excited to get these. So the first one that I picked up is My Cousin Rachel by Daphne du Maurier. This is the book that I actually borrowed from the library earlier this year. I didn't get to read it before I had to return it to the library, but I really, really wanted to read it. I'm like really, really excited to read this book because I read Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier last year and I really, really liked it. A lot more than I was expecting to. I didn't expect to like it very much. This is actually a classic like thriller, I believe is what she writes. Mystery and love. So like romantic suspense is kind of like the genre that she writes in, is one that I have been interested in. I don't know anything about it other than it's by Daphne du Maurier and she has some beautiful writing. She has really great suspense and I'm interested in reading this one. So that's why I ended up picking up. Also, $4. $4 for like a classic book. Like, that's amazing. I'm really excited to get to it. The next book I've actually already read, but when I saw it only for $7, I could not resist it. And that is Us Against You by Fredrik Backman. Such a beautiful hardcover edition. Like, I don't see any scratches or anything on it of Us Against You by Fredrik Backman. I listened to the audiobook for this one a little while ago and I've been meaning to buy more Fredrik Backman's books because he's one of my new favorite authors and I want to read more books by him. And I had planned to get the paperbacks for all of his books. But when I saw this book for only $7, I was just like, it's a hardcover that's only $7. I couldn't resist it. So I ended up getting this one. I don't regret it. I don't regret it at all because this is an amazing book and everyone should read it. And I absolutely loved it, and it was only $7, so I'm really happy that I got it. And now for my Amazon order, which is not as conservative as my Books A Million purchase was. The first one that I ended up getting is The Blood Mirror by Brent Weeks. This is the 4th novel in the Lightbringer series. I started the Lightbringer series last year. I read The Black Prism. I'm hoping to get to The Blinding Knife in the month of April, and The Blood Mirror is the 4th book, so it's gonna be a little while till I get to this one, but I'm still really excited to get to this one because I've really liked the series so far, and I want to see what it gets to. And The Blinding White, I think is what it's called, is coming out soon, and I want to be able to finish this one before that one comes out so that I can read that one as well. The next book that I ended up picking up is Nevernight by Jay Kristoff. I mostly haven't read this one because I didn't own a copy of it. Like, if I had owned a copy of this one previously, I would have already read this book. I recently got a copy of God's Grave by Jay Kristoff, which is the 2nd novel in this series from Book Outlet, and I still didn't have Nevernight, and because I had that one, I was really more motivated to buy Nevernight, and since it was just there on Amazon and I was already doing an order, I decided to pick it up. I'm excited to get to it too because this one's really hyped, and I don't know if it'll live up to the hype, but I'm hoping that it does because I could possibly, potentially really love it. And the next two are really the reason why I had to go on the book buying ban. Mostly because I don't like reading hardcovers. So usually when a book is only available in hardcover, I wait till it comes out in paperback, especially high fantasy. Adult high fantasy, I usually wait till it's in the mass market paperback version of it before I buy it because I prefer to read the mass market paperback version. But I couldn't wait for these. I ended up kind of buying them on a whim, kind of not. The first one is Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett. I did listen to like about 15 minutes of this audiobook, and after listening to 15 minutes of the audiobook, I was just like, I need a physical copy of this book. I knew I really wanted it. Like, I really wanted it. But I mean, I had the audiobook. I could have just listened to the audiobook for free from my library, but I couldn't help myself. I could not help myself, so I got the physical copy because there's nothing wrong with the audiobook. The audiobook is perfectly good. There's nothing wrong with it, but I wanted a physical copy because I prefer reading high fantasy in physical form than on audiobook. I mean, the same thing happened with The Cruel Prince. I had a perfectly good audiobook copy of it from my library, but I needed the physical copy because I read physical books faster than I do audiobooks. Audiobooks are a lot slower than physical reading for me because I read pretty fast in general. The only reason I read more audiobooks than physical books is because I have more time to read audiobooks than physical books. This is the kind of book that I would really want to read as a physical book, and I think I'm gonna really like it. So I was kind of okay with me buying this one, but at the same time, it's an author that I've never read before. I'm pretty sure it's a debut. I'm not sure if it's a debut. Maybe it is. There's a good chance that I might not like it, partially because I'm so hyped for it. I've only listened to the first 15 minutes of the audiobook before I decided I wanted a physical copy of it. So there's a good chance that by the end I don't like it, but I'm really hoping that doesn't happen. I'm really hoping that this is gonna be one of my next new favorites. So I'm hoping that I'm gonna end up really loving this, and if I do really love it, then I'm not gonna regret this purchase at all. If I don't like it, then I'm really gonna regret this purchase because I don't like reading hardcover high fantasy books. And this is a hardcover high fantasy book that I bought pretty much at full price. So yeah, it was a complete whim, and I probably shouldn't have done it, but I really wanted it. And somewhat along the same lines, I also got The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. This one I had on hold at my library. I didn't have the audiobook, I had the ebook, which for high fantasy honestly is better than the audiobook, even though like I don't really like reading ebooks. I have a Kindle that I bought for the purpose of reading ebooks. So like, there's a reason that I have it because I can actually read my ebooks when I read it on the Kindle, but I just wanted the physical copy of it again. Like, I just like, in my heart, I couldn't wait for it to come out as a mass market paperback or even a paperback in general. I just wanted the physical copy because I wanted to be able to hold it in my hand. Like, that's what it was. It was a complete whim, and it's beautiful though. Like, it's gorgeous. Look at that, it's gorgeous. And I'm pretty sure I will end up liking it. Like, I'm pretty sure I will end up liking it. It has all of the elements about this book for me to like it. But I have no way of actually knowing if I'm gonna like it until I actually read it. Which is why I had planned to read the ebook from my library, which I would have gotten in 6 weeks anyway. But I couldn't wait that long, so I bought a copy of it at full price, the hardcover. Yeah, I did that, and it was wrong of me, but I did it because I wanted it. So those are the reasons why I'm going on a book buying ban. There are a few books that I'm gonna buy before I go off the book buying ban, and I did do a book outlet order before all of this that I just did. I did a book outlet order. I have not received it yet. When I receive it, I will put the clip of that one there, as well as the other books that I'm planning. So I finally got my book outlet order, so we're going to go into the books that I ended up getting. I have a few other books that I got that were not from book outlet, so I'm going to talk about those first. First, I got Full Metal Alchemist volumes 19 through 27. So this is the rest of Full Metal Alchemist that I didn't have already. I got these because I'm going on the book buying ban, and I know I'll probably get to these before I go off the ban. So I wanted to have them ready for me to go because I knew I was going to buy these anyway. Like, I knew I wasn't going to not buy these. It was going to happen anyway, so it didn't really matter when I did it. So I decided to get them. So this is volume 19 through 21, volumes 23 through 24, and volumes 25 through 27. I decided to get this now because I knew that I was going to read these and I was going to want to get to these before the ban was over, because I originally decided to do like a 1 month ban, but then I decided I wasn't gonna do a 1 month book buying ban. I was gonna give myself a goal to end the book buying ban, which I will be talking about in another video. It'll probably last significantly longer than a month, which is probably a good thing for me because I buy way too many books as it is. I knew I needed to get these before I went on the ban. The next book that I ended up getting is House of Change by Steven Erikson. This is the 4th book in the Malazan Book of the Fallen series. I'm starting that series this month and I'm super excited for it, but because I'm starting the series, this is book 4 and there's a good chance that I can get to book 4 before the ban is up, and I have books 1 through 3 and book 5. So I didn't have book 4 and I really wanted to get book 4, and I knew I was going to get book 4 because I mean, I've already bought book 5. If I have book 5, then I'm going to read book 4 at some point. I decided to get book 4 so that I would have it ready for myself and I wouldn't have to like potentially break the ban for this book. And the reason why I'm doing this is it's because of books that I've been like really excited about that I bought and then just got carried away buying other books that I wasn't as excited about is the reason why I ended up buying way too many books. That's why I bought these books that I know I'm gonna buy eventually, that I'm excited for, that I might get to the reading point at, rather than not buying them and then going on the book buying ban and then breaking the ban because I wanted to buy these books. So now I have no excuse. So now we're gonna go to my book outlet order, and my book outlet order was also because of one book. I decided to do a book outlet order because I saw one book available on book outlet, and then I just found a bunch of other books. But I didn't plan on doing a book outlet order this month because I hadn't planned on spending this much on books, but we're gonna get to that right now. So the book that started the whole book outlet order is Firefly Lane by Kristin Hannah. You guys know I love Kristin Hannah. I want to read everything that she's written, and I bought recently Fly Away by Kristin Hannah without realizing that it's actually a sequel to Firefly Lane. So yeah, I bought the book even that was a sequel, even though I didn't know it was a sequel. So I had to buy the first one, and I saw it was on book outlet. So I was like, if it's on book outlet, it's much cheaper than you would get it in any store. So I decided to buy it on book outlet. It's a long hill because then I found a bunch of other books on book outlet that I really wanted to read. So I ended up buying them also. The next book that I ended up getting is Salt of the Sea by Ruta Sepetys. This is a historical fiction, and that's kind of all I know about it, other than like everyone seems to really love this book, and it's been on my radar for like maybe about 2 years now, and I just never got around to reading it, and I've been wanting to buy a physical copy of it. So when I saw it on book outlet, I just decided to pick it up because I was doing an order anyway, and it's a book that I really want to read, and I've been reading a lot more historical fiction recently, so I figured I could probably get to this one soon. The next book that I ended up ordering is The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. I don't know anything about this book either. I've just heard that it's really good and that it's heartbreaking, and it's definitely a book that everyone should read, which makes me excited. I've been wanting to pick this one up for a while for that reason. Mind you, I don't like knowing things about books before I go into them, especially like contemporaries and historical fictions and stuff like that. I like going into them a little bit blind on recommendations. This one's highly recommended all the time, so I really wanted to try it. Wow, this is a lot heavier than I was expecting to be. This is like a chunker of a book. Like, it doesn't look that big, but it's heavy. How many pages? Oh, almost 700 pages. So yeah, it's pretty big. Even though it doesn't look that big, it is pretty big. Yeah, I'm excited for this one. The next book is kind of out of nowhere. It's a nonfiction book. It's What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by Shad Helmstetter. This is a book my mom actually read and she really liked it. And I've also heard the author do like a conference talk before, and he has some really interesting ideas, and I've wanted to read his book before, and it is a pretty interesting title. So when I saw it on book outlet, I was just like, you know what? I don't have the book, so why not? The next book that I picked up was The Once and Future King by T.H. White. This is a classic fantasy novel that I have been wanting to read for a really long time and just haven't gotten around to it. So when I saw it on book outlet, I decided to pick it up, and it's a very beautiful edition. Like, it has inner flaps, and deckled edges and stuff. It's the kind of deckled edges that I actually like. It just feels good against your hands rather than the ones that are just weird. I like to flip through my books, so I just generally don't like deckled edges, but this one I actually like. So I really like this edition, and I'm really happy to have this book. The next book that I picked up is Sadie by Courtney Summers. I've heard a lot of great reviews of this book recently, and it just seems like an interesting story, so I decided to pick it up because it was available on Book Outlet. I like a good YA contemporary every once in a while, and I figured this would be a good one when I'm in the mood for that kind of book to just have on my shelf ready to go. Next book I've kind of already mentioned, but I'm really excited for it because I put this book on hold at the library multiple times and just like pushing it back because partially because I got the hold for the ebook because my library didn't have the audiobook, and I don't like reading ebooks that much. When it's an ebook, when I could read an audiobook or like a physical book also that I'm just as excited for, I always go for the physical or the audiobook over the ebook. So that's why I haven't picked up this book before, but I got a physical copy of it now, so I'm super excited to do it, and that's Thunderhead by Neal Shusterman. This is the second book in the Arc of Scythe series, and I'm so excited to read it because I read the first book, Scythe, earlier this year, and I absolutely loved it. I absolutely love the world in this book. It's so realistic and futuristic, and I really love the world. I really like where this book is going. Like, I've already read the first chapter of this book. It was really good. It was different than I was expecting it to be. It was not what I was expecting it to be, but I'm pretty excited for what it is. So I'm definitely excited to get to this one. I'm hoping to get to this one really soon. The next book that I decided to pick up is Three Dark Crowns by Kendare Blake. This is a book that has been really hyped on BookTube at one point, but then also had a lot of like bad reviews for it also. And I've learned recently, quite recently in fact, that just because a book is hyped and then has bad reviews doesn't mean it's necessarily bad. This seems like the sort of book that I would like to read, and most of the people who had bad reviews for it, from my perspective, seem more to be criticizing the marketing of this book rather than the book itself. I know what it is going into it. I know what to expect from it, so I don't think the marketing's going to bother me that much. So I'm excited to read this book and see if I actually like the book, because it seems like the type of book that I should like. The next book I'm actually really excited for also, and that is The Last Samsara by Kristen Cicerelli. This book is about people who kill dragons. Dragons in fantasy these days tend to be like on the side of good. Like the people who you're rooting for are the ones that have dragons in the fantasy books these days. In previous generations, the dragons were always the bad guys in the stories. So I kind of like the idea of going back to that a little bit because it's kind of different, even though like it's an old idea, but this is kind of like a new spin on it. And I'm excited to read this one. I've heard this one is really good, and I've been wanting to read it for a while, so I'm pretty excited for this one as well. The next book that I picked up is The Reluctant Queen by Sarah Beth Durst. This is the second book in the Queens of Renthia series. I actually already have the first book, The Queen of the Blood, which I do hope to read soon. I did read like the first chapter of The Queen of the Blood, and I really liked it. It starts off really bloody, which is kind of expected. It's called The Queen of the Blood. I always said that when Book Outlet got The Reluctant Queen as a mass market paperback that I would end up ordering it with my next orders, because in the past it was always just the hardcover, and I don't like hardcovers, especially when I already have the mass market paperback of like the first book in a series. I like to keep them all in mass market paperback. So I saw that it had the mass market paperback, so I was just like, yep, it's time to pick it up. So I decided to get it because I'm excited to read this series also. The next book I'm a little disappointed with because I did the same thing that I did last time, in which I bought a book by an author that I really want to read more of without realizing that it was a novella. So I ended up buying The Perfect Shadow by Brent Weeks. Brent Weeks is an author that I'm really intrigued by. I'm currently reading his Lightbringer series, and I do want to read this series as well, which is his Night Angel series. So I do really want to read this series, and I do want to get to this one eventually. I just hadn't planned on reading the novellas quite so yet. So yeah, and I also thought this was a paperback. It ended up being a hardcover. So apparently I don't know what I'm doing when I order things. I'm excited for this, but before I get to this one, I'm gonna read the Lightbringer series and the Night Angel trilogy before I read this one. Hopefully I will like the Night Angel trilogy, so then I could read this one. The next book that I picked up is The Heroes by Joe Abercrombie. I've recently found a love for Joe Abercrombie's writing style, so I want to read more books by him, and I've never seen any of his books on Book Outlet, so when I saw it, I I immediately picked it up. I'm now realizing this is the second book in the series. The first book is Best Served Cold, which I don't have, so I won't be reading this one anytime soon. Also, I plan to read the first Law trilogy, which is his other series that I'm reading first, so it will be a while before I get to this one, but it was available and things on Book Outlet go quickly, and I like Joe Abercrombie, so I know I'm gonna get this one eventually. So I figured since I already had a Book Outlet order going, I might as well just pick it up. So the next book that I decided to pick up is The Rook and the Stiletto by Daniel O'Malley. These books I don't know that much about, but I know that they're fantasy books, but they're like contemporary fantasy. Urban fantasy, I think is a better term for it, because it's like set in our world, but there are like supernatural powers, which is very interesting. I've heard these are very action-packed and thrilling, and I've wanted to pick these up for a while and just never got around to it. They're kind of like lower down on my list where I just like don't really notice them anymore, so I figured if I have physical copies of them, I'm more likely to pick them up. So when I saw them on Book Outlet, I was just like, you know what? Why not? I'm gonna try them and hopefully I'll like it. The next book that I decided to pick up is The Witchwood Crown by Tad Williams. This one actually caught my eye quite a while ago. Tad Williams is an author that I've never read, but I've really wanted to try before. He's kind of like one of those classic high fantasy authors that everyone who like really likes adult high fantasy has read before, except for me. So I wanted to try some of his books, and this is the first book in the Last King of Austin art series. So it was available on Book Outlet and I decided to pick it up. I don't know anything about it other than it's by Tad Williams, which is an author that I wanted to try. So I'm excited to start this one and hopefully I will like it. The next book that I decided to pick up is An Echo of Things to Come by James Islington. This is the sequel to The Shadow of What Was Lost. I haven't actually read The Shadow of What Was Lost and I don't own it, but I do plan on reading that sometime soon. I've heard if you really like the Wheel of Time series, you'll also like this series, which the Wheel of Time series is one of my favorites. So of course I'm gonna try these. So I saw it on Book Outlet. It's a hardcover, so I like buying hardcovers from Book Outlet because you get them a lot cheaper than you get them regularly, and I just feel like I'm getting a better deal when I buy a hardcover than when I'm buying a paperback, even though I prefer reading paperbacks. Yeah, I know, I'm weird. I saw the hardcover on Book Outlet and I was like, this is a really great deal, let me try it. So I decided to pick it up, and I will eventually get to it, but I want to read the first one first, obviously. So those are all the books that I got in this book haul. So my book buying ban officially starts right now, and I will have more details on that on a later video about what I actually have to do to come off the book buying ban. If you've read any of these books and you liked any of these books, please let me know down in the comments so I know which ones I should prioritize. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. I post videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. All social media links are in the description down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!